Hello everyone. I trust that your initial visit to the early church was an effective learning experience. We spent much of Unit 1 discussing persecution and martyrdom, attacks on Christians from outside the church. I hope you made the connection that persecution continues against our brothers and sisters around the world today, and we need to be in prayer regularly for them. In Unit 2, we look at attacks on the church from within, heretics introducing false teachings. There is a connection between the heresies of the early church and many cults today. For example, Gnosticism and Mormonism, Scientology, and the New Age movement, modalism and oneness Pentecostalism, Arianism, and Jehovah's Witnesses. Satan is not creative. He simply repackages his lies and sells them to new generations. That's why we need to learn from the early church fathers who have led the way in the fight for the faith, known as polemics. The early church fought against heresies in three ways. The first way was in developing the canon of the Scriptures, those Christian writings that showed the evidence of God's authoritative inspiration. Also, creeds and confessions, and then finally, apostolic session to show who is in charge of the church. Well, after Constantine's conversion, however legitimate that was, the church faced an unexpected and largely unseen challenge, the union of church and state. Before Constantine, the church functioned outside the government, often illegally, often persecuted. They not only survived, but thrived. They did so through evangelism and missions, persuasiveness and generosity, a grassroots movement that was amazingly effective. After Constantine, the church enjoyed favored status. Persecution ended, but the persecuted church became the persecutors, and the church lost much of its purity and vigor. The union of church and state impacted Christianity for centuries, right up to today. Reactions to the union of church and state included monasticism, and we will look at the origins of that institution. Well, during this unit, we will look at the Council of Nicaea, which was a major turning point, so much so that historians view the early church era in two periods, the ante-Nicene period and the post-Nicene period. During the Council of Nicaea, the challenge of Arius arose to the full deity of Christ, and Athanasius rose up to defend orthodoxy. The beginning of centuries of controversy over the nature and work of Christ and the impact of Christology on our understanding of salvation came about through this council and others. During Unit 2, we discussed some of the formative issues, not only for the early church, but for our church today. I trust that you will give it your full attention, and remember to listen to the audio files as you work through the PowerPoint lectures. Well, let's get started.